It's been a while since we've spoken to you. I've been very busy out on the road opening new accounts across the country for the Hinders Baits. We've been very busy here in Headlands producing the bait and looking at new bits and pieces for you. Now, over the years, there's one particular person that I've dearly wanted to employ to help us out and become part of our team here at Hinders. And that one person is Dr Keith Sykes. Now, for the few carp anglers out there that don't know who he is, because everyone else in the industry does know him, he is probably one of the best brains within bait production, formulation that we've ever known. So, Keith, tell us something about yourself.
Well, I guess the fascination with bait started many years ago, probably in the early 70s, in fact, Brian. It was all those formative days and whispered secrets and so on and so forth. And looking back, I mean, you know, it was tremendous because we just didn't have that availability. So you went out, found these little trick bits, as we call them now, and progressed from there, really. I mean, I've always wanted to know how to get them to feed all species of fish when they're not naturally feeding, as it were. So I guess bait, you know, became paramount of importance to me. And over the years, I've been very lucky. I've worked with some great people. I've met some of the wonderful people, you know. The late Rod Hutchinson probably stands out in my mind, the hours and hours that we spent talking about bait and one thing or another. And then in the early 80s, I set up my own company in partnership with a couple of other lads, which retrospectively, you know, we were probably a little bit ahead of ourselves. You know, we were doing enzyme mixes and the amino acids and so on and so forth.
I think everyone knew that the bait that you were produced, or the bits that you had at the time, would be wonderful within catching bait, but no one really knew what to do with them.
That's been the biggest problem. Is, you know, it's bringing that level of science down to a level that everybody understands. And there are, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people out there who really enjoy tinkering with a bait. But there are a lot of people who just want it almost ready-made, excuse the pun. So, you know, over the years, the thing that's become very significant to the way I look at baits now are these micro and macro elements that they make a bait going from sort of average to up there.
I suppose with so many carp anglers out there on the bank now, and there is a lot of good bait on the market, you're now looking probably more so than any time within carp fishing history of you've got to have those extra bits and pieces which make the huge difference between the carp you're looking for picking that bait up and actually going past. And I think a lot of the times at the moment that carp just goes straight past.
And a lot of people will say bait doesn't matter. Bait does. You know, you can have the stickiest hook, the best rig, inverted commas, but if they're not going to pick it up, waste of space. And that's the trick. It's trying to get those little bits, those little final jigsaw pieces. And you know, to me, bait is for, obviously you've got to locate them, know where they are, and if you know where they're feeding, give them some food, and they want that food, job's done. And so, you know, I'm just fascinated by bait.
So Keith is going to be formulating and looking at a whole range of new bits and pieces for a multitude of different species. Anything that swims, Keith is going to try and put something together to help you put more fish on the bank. Now, one new feature we're going to have is a cup of tea with Keith. And once a month we're going to ask you to send some questions in about bait or any questions you want to pose to Keith. Keith's going to sit down there, we're going to film it, and he's going to answer all your bait questions. So fantastic, looking forward to 2019. I'd like to welcome the new T-boy Keith. Really looking forward to working with you again, Keith.
Cheers, man. Good.
Let's get on with it.